The maestro, they called him, the wizard of dribble, the ageless wonder. For more than 30 remarkable years, he tormented and embarrassed defences all over the world.
Trying to find Matthews on the right wing. He's done so. It's come down to Matthews unmarked there. The defence just waiting for Matthews to move forward with it. He's in a tussle now with Aston. Aston finally went down right on his back, and he's got Matthews tied up in a knot there. The ball as well. And finally, it's a free kick to Blackpool. Free kick to Blackpool just outside the Manchester United penalty area. The referee's racing across there to put it a yard or so back, and this is going to be taken by Matthews. Matthews puts it right across to Kelly. Kelly's going to shoot first time. It's gone through a crown. Fred's gone to Morton. It's a goal! Yes! Number 2!
The classic situation, Stanley Matthews fouled. He takes the free kick and somebody scores. How often did that happen? There it was his England colleague, Stanley Mortensen, putting Blackpool 2-1 up in the 1948 FA Cup final. But Manchester United, with a promising young manager called Matt Busby, scored 3 more to win one of the outstanding post-war cup finals. Many thought it was Matthews' last chance of a cup winner's medal. This slim, pinch-faced genius of a right-winger was then 33. No one guessed that he was less than halfway through his astonishing career. Matthews played his first league game in 1932 and won the first of his 54 England caps 2 years later at the age of 19. He retired in 1965, soon after his 50th birthday and a month after becoming the first footballer to be knighted. Mind you, he had his detractors. They said he was selfish, couldn't head the ball, and didn't score enough goals. But Billy Wright, his England captain for 11 consecutive seasons, had no doubts.
The one thing about him, playing against him as a full-back and seeing him from behind, is he had the ability, and people say it was funny, try to mesmerise the opposition. Now, you might say that's funny in football, but if you ever saw Stanley play, he got the ball between both feet, and he had balance, which made people look at him, and that's why he caught people off balance. And I've seen him make people fall down because they didn't know which way to go. And that's the one thing you had to worry about when Matthews, if he did get the outside, then he could do the things you were worried about. And that's his ability with control of the ball. And the art of Stan to be able to get away from a player the 5 yards, and he didn't need 5, you only need 1, and no player at any level, this country, all world, could catch Stanley Matthews once he got a yard away from you. And he had the close ability. So whether you got a cover or not, the ball would always be to his feet, and then if he was 1 yard away, he had that ability and control, which is very rare in this day or yesterday.
That same year, 1948, England played Italy, one of the best sides in the world.
Free kick to England, taken by Scott, just inside his own half. He lobs it forward. Out goes Lawton. Beaten in the air by Parola again. This time the ball only goes to Mannion. Now Mannion's going through at full speed. He's got all the forwards up there. Will he pass across to Mortensen? Mortensen racing into position there. Right across through to Finney. Bang, a goal! Beautiful goal by Finney there. A beautiful goal. Very clever feint by Mannion. Mannion feinted to put that ball through to Mortensen, instead of which he banged it right over the heads of the defenders, and Finney, running onto it, hit it first time from 5 yards and gave Bacigalupa no chance at all. So that is the 3rd goal for England, who led by 2 goals to nothing at half-time. Now, in the 25th minute of the second half, have increased their lead through Finney to number 3. Swift, a great long kick. Parola is chasing it, looking round over his shoulder, rather like Gordon Richards, when he's about 3 lengths ahead in a 5-furlong sprint to see if anybody's near him. Parola, of course, looking for Lawton, and he turns the ball back to his own goalkeeper. Once again, it's Scott. Scott taking that goal kick with a neat slip and pass all in one movement up to Mortensen. Mortensen back through to Coburn. Coburn now, a long one, and Mortensen's away on his own. He's cutting away right out to the outside left position. He's absolutely a bundle of energy, this fella. And now he's whizzing the ball straight across the goal, through to Finney. Finney's on his own, he shoots, and it's a goal! Finney scored again. Beautiful move made by Mortensen, taken by Finney, who'd cut inside. And in the 28th minute of the second half, England have made it 4-0.
The 2 final goals described by Raymond Glendenning. The first 2 goals scored by Stan Mortensen and Tommy Lawton. And more than 40 years later, talking to me about some of the great players of his time, Sir Stanley recalled that game in Turin.
Joe Mercer was Joe had these bow-legged, and Joe was a great tackle and a great captain. And but he had these bow legs. It was easy to push the ball through his legs sometimes, you know.
Stan Cullis, of course, I mean, a man who was enormously respected.
Stan Cullis, he was a great captain, and he used to come out from the defence of the ball, and he used to push the ball and so on. He was great, but the one after that, in my opinion, was the Stoke City player, my old mate Neil Franklin. He was a brilliant player, and when we played Italy in 1948, Italy had a great team. They had, and they paralysed for the first 20 minutes, but Neil Franklin, Frank Swift, and all, they held out, and we managed to win 4-0.
England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all entered the World Cup for the first time in 1950, but only England got as far as the finals in Brazil. And there they suffered perhaps their greatest embarrassment of all, defeat by 1-0 by the United States of America. Walter Winterbottom was the England team manager.
We went out in those days because it was new to us, travelling abroad and taking part in world competition. We were pioneers. And yes, we had something of a following in the fact that, being concerned with the development of the game from its early days, everybody expected England to play extremely well. The only other team that was going to feature in this competition was Brazil. It was a question of would Brazil or England win the World Cup. That was the expectation. Brazil is a very difficult place to get used to, or was to our players, because it was a hot climate, very, very hot in a time of year we were playing. We had temperatures of 104 degrees Fahrenheit for our first game. It gives you some idea. But also the place where we settled on Copacabana Beach with all the razzmatazz that goes on in Rio. We were put off a little by the conditions. In fact, we were learning how to go into World Cup competition. Brazil were the best team by far. They ought to have won, but the Uruguay match, and Uruguay had only played 2 matches to get to the final. This was a strange organisation, this competition. But they put up a wonderful fight in the final against Brazil, and the famous Chigueira goal was something out of this world. He ran the length of the field to score a single goal that put Brazil out. But Brazil had wonderful forwards. 3 inside forwards were picture players. Jair could float free kicks with this banana shape. The first time we'd ever come across it. Players were leaping up and kicking the ball overhead to score a goal, known as the Shaklala kick. We'd never seen this before. So there are lots of new things for England to take note of and come away and learn in going into future competitions. But, of course, I haven't mentioned it so far. We've got to remember that England were defeated by the United States. It wasn't a United States team as such. There were 5 players in the side who'd only been in America for 3 months, and they'd taken out nationalized papers, so they had some good Europeans playing in their side. But that was a game which was extraordinary in the extreme. I don't think I've ever had England play in a match where we've taken so many shots at goal and miss. Maurice Smith, who used to write for the People, said that we hit the woodwork 11 times. That can never happen again. But there we were, we lost by 1-0, and these things happen. It's a pity it happened in the World Cup.
The FA Cup final that year, 1950, was between Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal were led by that lovable star Joe Mercer, and they had players of the calibre of Reg Lewis, Wally Barnes, and the Compton brothers, Leslie and Dennis. Liverpool had men such as Billy Liddell, Bert Stubbins, and Willie Fagan.
Free kick to Liverpool, half inside their own half, taken by left back Spicer, right down the centre, and cleverly trapped by Mercer, despite the attentions of Fagan. Dribbled along the ground, he's held it a bit long, no, he's got it away finally out to Lewis. Lewis tricks his man, puts a nice cross past to Cox. Now this is dangerous if Cox can keep it in. He has done. He skids, but he's cutting right down now towards the Liverpool goal line. He squares across the goal. In it goes. Ahead of there by Lewis, and it's just over the bar. Out goes Sidler, and he rolls over on the ground with Lambert as they... Oh, and he did touch it. He did touch it at the corner. I thought that was a there thing. It is a corner. First corner to us. Taken by Dennis Compton. You'll remember in the semi-final, he put one onto Leslie Compton's head, but Leslie's not coming up this time. Here comes Dennis's centre. Oh, a beauty, right up in the centre there. Well headed away by Hughes, the centre half. Fine save by Hughes there. And he puts it out to Little. Little has now moved over to the right wing, and Payne has shifted over to the left. That's the first tactical change by Liverpool. But it's Barnes who stops that attack. Puts through to Logan. Looking through to Lewis. Lewis is shot. Arsenal have scored.
Lewis got a second, and Arsenal won 2-0. And then it was the turn of the maestro again. Stanley Matthews was back at Wembley in 1951, and Blackpool's opponents this time were Newcastle United.
Now the goal kick's been taken up to the head of Robledo in the centre circle, nodded down by Johnson for Blackpool. Not very far though, Crowe gets it back to Taylor, turned it to Robledo. Now Newcastle swinging into the attack on the right wing, and I don't think Walker's going to get it now, way over his head and into touch. Halfway inside the Blackpool half, this side of the field, Garrincha going to take the throw in him. The left full back throws it down to Slater. Slater trying to breast the ball down, but it's been taken from him. And Harvey now, with just a flick through to his outside right. His pass has gone astray though, and Garrick left-footed now, trying to get it upfield into Newcastle half so that the Blackpool forwards can have a go at it. Got it out that time by Moody to Perry, but he fails to bring it under control, tries to put it straight back, loses the ball, and Walker's got past Garrett, and he's still got past Hayward, cutting inside now for Newcastle, slips it along the ground to Taylor, and he backheels it to Milburn who shoots, and it's a goal, a terrific goal by Milburn. So that's 10 minutes of the second half gone, and Newcastle now 2 goals up. A terrific shot there from just outside the penalty area by Milburn.
Jackie Milburn wore Jackie, the idol of Tyneside, with his and Newcastle's second. Final score, 2-0. And once again, Stanley Matthews was a runner-up. A few days later, England faced Argentina at Wembley. Their first meeting, though certainly not their last, at full international level.
Mortensen to Finney. Back through now to Hassel. Hassel past one man. No, he's lost the ball there. And it's Wright to the rescue. No, it's come through now. A bad pass by the Argentine. Right through to Mortensen. Mortensen to Milburn. Milburn's dodging around there. And the Argentine attacking their defence. Now here comes the ball across now. And this is just pushed round the post again off Hassel. And this time Mr. Ruggiero has collapsed again in a heap. Really, it's rather overdoing the spectacular. It was quite a simple header by Hassel. Ruggiero made an enormous leap and landed flat on his back. However, that is the way they play, and I suppose I can't blame them. But the crowd here are taking a little poor view of the spectacular antics. Now here's Finney's corner. A header by Mortensen. It's there! It's a goal! Mortensen scored! Mortensen scored! And that's 1-0! And now Mr. Ruggiero is literally tearing his hair on the goal line.
England won 2-1, Milburn with the second goal. And Milburn's Newcastle, the outstanding cup side of the time, won the trophy again in 1952, the first club to win it in 2 successive seasons in the 20th century.
The ball goes loose, it comes to the Roper. Roper away downfield, a long one, and Brennan heads it sideways, very neatly indeed to Joe Harvey. Joe Harvey up now to Fowkes, who's on the Newcastle right wing, through to Milburn. Milburn, this looks really dangerous, but no, Daniel stepped over the ball, but he's only flicked it as far as Ted Robledo. And now he's coming through and he fires down to Mitchell. Mitchell on the left wing for Newcastle United. Coming down towards the Arsenal penalty area. He's beaten his man. Mitchell's coming in. He's beaten another man. He's going to shoot. No, he isn't. He's holding it. He's fired again. He's too late. My goodness, he's too late. Oh dear, what a chance there was for Newcastle there. Beat 3 men and didn't fire it in. Well, that was a chance for Newcastle there. Another ball is shot away upfield there by right back Roper for the Arsenal. Back he comes again from Brennan. Brennan upfield now to Harvey. Harvey to Walker. Walker through now to George Robledo. He loses the ball to Ray Daniel, and Daniel puts the ball away upfield. Roper's hurt in a tackle there. And Newcastle United going on. Mitchell's got the ball. He fires the ball across the Arsenal penalty area. And that's a goal! It's a goal scored by George Robledo. Goal scored by George Robledo off the post. With Lionel Smith and Don Roper lying on the floor. From the cross, George Robledo headed in off this near post. And the referee, Mr. Ellis, judged that he couldn't stop the play because neither man was hurt enough.
Another great figure of the 50s was Nat Lofthouse of Bolton, a battering ram of a centre-forward, loved by crowds, feared by defenders. They called him the Lion of Vienna, after a marvellous performance against Austria in 1952.
Corner now to Austria.
That's the fourth corner they've had this half to be taken. It'll be an in-swinger put in by Huber, the inside left, from this near left-hand corner. Here it comes right across the goal. A very good one indeed. Well pulled down by Merrick there. Beautifully pulled down by the far post. He comes out right to the far post before throwing it up into the centre circle, where it's put through to Lofthouse, and Lofthouse is racing through. He's all his own. He's cutting right in now past the goalkeeper. He shoots. It's a goal! And Lofthouse has scored. Lofthouse has scored and made it 3-2. And actually, the goalkeeper ran straight into him, and now Lofthouse looks as though he's injured. But he is all right, and from that Merrick throw-in, right into the centre circle, Lofthouse chased it in, and once again, Trotter's been called out to attend to Lofthouse. He lobbed that ball right in as the goalkeeper crashed into him.
Lofthouse with 2, and Jackie Sewell of Sheffield Wednesday with the scorers. And England's skipper, of course, was the evergreen Billy Wright.
This day was fantastic because Vienna then was split into 3 zones, and we had to play in the Russian zone. Anyway, the match itself was a good match for us because Austria at that time were reputed to be #1 in Europe. They'd been to England and drawn 2 each, and they'd every point they were going to beat England this day. But they didn't count on the support, the magnificent support that we had from our British Tommies, because they shouted themselves hoarse that day, and we were drawing 2 each with about 10 minutes to go, and wonderful Nat Lofthouse, who was called after this game the Lion of Vienna, went through on his own, and he cracked in a beautiful goal to make it 3-2, and everything was let loose. The referee blew his whistle for time, the British Tommies came running onto the pitch, grabbed hold of us, lifted us onto their shoulders, and they carried us off. Oh, it was wonderful. I've never been so exhilarated in all my life, even though we played hard that day. But after the match, we couldn't have had it better because they took us up to a wonderful restaurant, right up in the hills, right in the Vienna woods, and we had a wonderful banquet after to end the most magnificent day.
But Lofthouse the Lion and Matthews the Wizard were opponents at Wembley in 1953 for the now legendary FA Cup final between Bolton and Blackpool. Matthews was 38, and surely we thought he was at the end of his playing career. It was now or never, and when Bolton went 3-1 up, it looked like never.
And Bolton are swinging that ball desperately from 3-1 up, they're back to 3-all. Well, it's a most extraordinary tale of mistakes. This time Langton away on the left wing now, whips it across to Lofthouse. Lofthouse on the edge of the Blackpool penalty area, cuts in past his man. Can't beat him, and out comes Farm to clear. Well, I don't know who's lucky in this game, I really don't. Both sides have had plenty of chances. They both should have won the game conclusively, and they haven't. So perhaps the draw is fair at the moment. Here come Blackpool again. Right half. Pushing that ball through Fenton, through to Taylor, through to Matthews. Matthews on the edge of the Bolton penalty area, dribbling right in, past his man, 2 yards out, squares it, hit it somebody, yes, it's there! It's there! Penny has scored! Penny has scored number 4. Laid on by Stanley Matthews, Blackpool have scored number 4. Penny, the South African left winger, got an absolute jam laid on, and the stadium at the moment is a sea of tangerine. Well, it is hard luck for Bolton, who have been leading for so long, and now only in the time added on for injuries have they gone down from 3-1 to 4-3 to Blackpool.
The game has gone down in football history as the Matthews final, but with typical modesty, he shrugs off the credit. A year or 2 back, I talked to him about that extraordinary match. Despite all you achieved, most people want to talk to you about the 1953 FA Cup final when Blackpool beat Bolton by 4-3, and when at the age of 38 you got your Cup winners' medal at last.
Well, it was an ambition as a young player that you always wanted to win an FA Cup medal, and it did happen, but the Bolton match is one of those things. If that happened, the last 3 goals, the first half, it wouldn't have been so excited. But things went for us that day, and I'll give Stan Mortensen great credit because he scored 3 goals.
In a way, I suppose it ought to be called Mortensen's final.
Well, I think he did, because, you know, a lot of fans don't see actually what goes on the play, but the way Morty sort of took the centre half with him to the nearest post, he allowed Bill Perry to creep in an empty space there. And when I gave a pass, any little boy, a 4-year-old, could have given a pass. It wasn't one of those swerving passes. It was so simple. And credit must go to Bill Perry too, because the way he hit it, it could have gone anyway. It could have gone over the bar, it could go anyway. And the way he hit it, it went in the back of the net, and that was it.
Do you ever get fed up with people talking to you about that game?
Bryon, I get fed up. I never watch it, and it embarrasses me because I think Morty scored 3 goals. And today, if you score 3 goals in the final, you're the hero.
What many people won't know is that you really weren't fully fit for that game, and in fact, your selection for the 1953 Cup final was a bit of a gamble.
Well, yes, in the 1953, of course. What really happened on the Tuesday, we went to Blackpool Recreation Park because there are plenty of turf there. We wanted to get used to the field for the Saturday. And I'm sprinting, then I take my football boots and kicking about, and I felt my muscle at the back of my leg go a little bit. And I was very unhappy about it, and then I did a little bit of training on the Wednesday, and I wasn't quite sure about it, and I was terribly nervous, and I was doubtful actually. And the club doctor, we stayed at Harrow on the Friday, and on the Saturday morning I had just a little tryout, only just a little, and the doctor injected me, and I was still nervous when I went on, more so because I didn't want to break down, and luckily it went all right.
That was one of the peaks of a very, very long career in which you achieved so much, but do you have any regrets at all along the way, that there was something that you'd like to have done or achieved but never quite managed?
No, the only thing I wanted to play is football, and the only thing I regret, I retired when I was 50, and I think, well, I'm sure I would have gone another 2 years, because when I was 50 they changed the system, you know, that they started talking about mid-play and what have you, and midfield players. And I could have easily gone in the midfield players. I wouldn't need to dribble so much. I could have passed the ball back and so on, because I always felt that I was pretty sure I had every confidence in passing the ball, and I think I could have played, because I still had that little bit of speed. Not so much, say, 10 times out of 10, probably about 6 out of 10. And I could have gone on for another 2 years, and I regretted that.
The next big game at Wembley, though, sent waves of shock and then horror through English football. Hungary, led by the galloping Major, the great-faring Puskas and the stylish Hidegkuti, who scored after 45 seconds, gave England a sharp and painful football lesson. Though at 4-2 down, England were still just about hanging on to their dignity.
Bocic, the right half again, across the England goal, through now to Kocic. He lobs it right across field, a good header, and it's hit against the post by Medic, and just bundled away there by Sewell, who come back to help his defenders. And Sewell gets in the way of another one, but no, it's no good. That was a magnificent shot by Budai from about 30 yards, well outside the penalty area. He hit that ball like a rocket. At least I think it was Budai who was swept out to him, and he hit it from 30 yards right in the top corner of the net, just as Hidegkuti did the first one, and that is score Hungary 5, England 2. Being moved across, stopped there by Dickinson, pushed by Puskas, this time right away back now to Lontosh, the right back. He puts a long one up towards the England penalty, up the other heads. England get it away. No, it's only gone through now to Bocic. Bocic away out now to Buzanski, and he puts it in the centre circle now. Hungary playing a bit too much of the ball at the moment, and there's Chibor, the inside left, playing in the inside right position. He comes back to the right back. He lobs it across the goal, and it's neatly nodded right down to Puskas's foot. He lets it lob across his chest. It's straight into a beautiful goal. Straight into his man who was running in there, and he had the England defence absolutely standing still, and I think it was Kocic. They're embracing each other as well they might. That was most brilliantly done by Puskas. No, it was Hidegkuti again. Hidegkuti again. That's number 6 for Hungary. To Rob back to Sewell. Sewell racing down the left wing for England. And he's being well policed by centre-half Laurent. And Laurent kicks that ball into touch. 6-2, Hungary lead. with 10 minutes play gone in the second half, or just over 10. No, must be more than that. Now here's a good nod there by Mortensen off a long loping centre, and this time it's come through. Rob is pulled down, and there's a penalty. Penalty. Rob is pulled down by goalkeeper Graceful, who put his hand round his legs. Mortensen nodded it forward. Graceful missed it, and as Rob got it, he pulled his legs away. So up comes Alf Ramsey to take a penalty for England. Well, Graceful certainly just wrapped his legs in a real rugged tackle. You'd have thought Rob was an all black the way that one went. Now in comes Ramsey. He hits one beautifully into the net. 3 for England. Beautifully side-footed penalty by Alf Ramsey has reduced the deficit now after 14 minutes to Hungary 6, England 3.
Mortensen and Sewell were England's other scorers. It was the first time England had lost at home to continental opposition. Tom Finney, a superb winger who was affectionately known as the Preston Plumber, was picked for the match but missed it because of injury, and he watched fascinated from the stands.
This was really, you know, a revelation to me. Here we saw a team who had 4 or 5 world-class players in the side with an abundance of skill, and they really impressed me and still do, and I still say that they were the best side, international side, I ever saw or played against. We saw, though, for the first time, this what was later called the Revy plan, which was the deep-lying centre-forward. And we had a chap called Hudakiti playing for centre-forward. He was absolutely a fantastic player. We saw this fellow Puskas come before the kick-off and throw the ball up and caught it on his foot and then knocked it with his shoulder and then caught it on the back of his neck and rolled it down and backheeled it, and this was before the game started, and you know, we thought, oh, it's all right doing this now when there's nobody, you're not in like under pressure or anything, or you're not playing the game.
Finney's own moment of triumph might and perhaps should have come a year later in the 1954 Cup final, Preston North End against West Bromwich Albion. Finney had given so much pleasure to so many that surely he was worth a winner's medal. And yet, on this day of all days, he was a loser. Indeed, he's always maintained it was one of his worst games in a Preston shirt. West Bromwich the winners by 3-2. Tom Finney and Stanley Matthews, though, what a pair of wingers. Nat Lofthouse loved playing with them.
Well, I was very lucky. I had 2 guys. One was called Matthews, one was called Finney. One was outside right, one was outside left, and anyone could have played centre forward in between those 2. Matthews was one off. There's only one Matthews. There's only one Finney to me, and for both of us to be all, you know, playing in Lancashire was great, but to play with Matthews and Finney was something out of this world. You can't describe, you can't buy. Matthews could put a ball across so accurately that he would put the lace away so it wouldn't hit you when you headed it. That was the type, and so accurate, and so such a master was he. Finney was the opposite way. Finney was more of a team man. Finney would fetch, carry, score goals, make goals, and she had a perfect combination. A lot of people ask me which is the better. All I can say that I would prefer to play with Finney more than play with Matthews singly, because I used to think that Tom Finney was more of a team man. Stan was an individual, which there was only one Matthews. Finney played for the team. He was the guy I most wanted to play with in the England side. He was the guy who made more goals for me, for England, than any other player.
Then, almost immediately, there was England's return match with Hungary in Budapest. It was just before the 1954 World Cup finals, and what happened to them could hardly have come at a worse moment.
Hungary is still leading by 3-0, which is the half-time score, scored by Lontosh, Puskas and Garrincha. Finney going to try an in-swinger in the far right-hand corner. Here he comes, right across the goal. Up goes Jezard, and a beautiful pull out of the air by Graceful. Sort of thing we did see him do at Wembley so extremely well. Judged to a centimetre, a long one. Out to the full-back, straight to Hidiguti. Hidiguti now cutting down now to Puskas. Puskas to Chibok, and Chibok do anything with it. He's cutting into the penalty area. Puts it loose, there's a man unmarked. Out goes Merrick, and he scored. Went through to Kocic, I think. To Kocic. I think it was the inside right. Move was so fast, and he came out, held himself with his feet, and the ball went under him into the net, and Hungary have scored number 4. I couldn't tell you if it was Tote, the new boy, or the inside right from here. We're right up at the top of the stadium with sun rather shining in our eyes. I thought it was Kocic myself, well, it doesn't matter, except that it was taken extremely beautiful way. Goalkeeper out to the fullback down the centre,
swept right across, the opening made there by Chibor, and made in a second and a half, and then finally Kochish just stabbed the ball in as Merrick dived at his feet in a last despairing effort, and that is Hungary 4. Hungary 4, England 0, after 14 minutes play in the second half. England down the left wing, the ball is pushed away out there to Finney, Finney to Jezard trying to move back into position, Finney takes it, puts it back to Sewell, Sewell back to Finney, Finney through to Broadis, Broadis now to Harris, Harris shoots, it bounces off Finney, she was right in the way there, nodded sideways by Billy Wright, it's cleared by a Hungarian, it comes away out now, upfield where Sewell fails to hold the ball, and it goes in the touch off the left full-back Lofthouse. About level with the Hungarian penalty area. Hungary 4, England 0. Big throw to Sewell. Tapped. No, he's holding on to the ball. Got 2 men with him. He's supposed to cross the goal there. There's nobody there, but Finney does get to it, puts it through to Harris, who shoots, and once again, somehow, a Hungarian shirt gets in the way of that and breasts the ball away so the goalkeeper doesn't have to touch it. Long swinging ball away out to Chibor, the left wing. He's running down the central field. A beautiful pass away out the outside right. He's racing in now, Cote, cutting right in now into the penalty area. Out goes Merrick. He shoots, and Merrick bounces away. And no, it's in the net. Cote follows up, gets it back in off one of the other men. Oh, it isn't Cote. Who is it down there? I think it is Cote. Yes, Cote followed up, and although Stanley tried to get to the ball, Merrick parried, so Cote followed up and smacked it into the back of the net.
And Hungary scored yet another before England got on the score sheet.
6-0, Hungary lead. England still trying hard. Ball from Wright goes to Owen. Owen a little bit slow there, but he gets it away. Comes up loose now to Jezard. Jezard side foots that ball through to Broadis. Broadis to Finney. Finney was a bit too quick for that one, and he couldn't quite stop it going out of play on the far side level with the Hungarian penalty area. Very quick move of Broadis's, but it defeated Finney as well as the Hungarian defenders. There goes Mr. Bernardi's whistle again for a free kick to England over on the far side for Haynes. Half inside the Hungarian half. Dickinson going to take it, the left half. England players right up in the Hungarian penalty area. A chip forward there. A hook away by Laurent, he comes loose, and he shoots, and oh, beautiful shot there. A beautiful shot and a beautiful goal by Broadis. He absolutely crashed that one home, and even Grosich didn't have a chance. Well, that's the first time that we've seen from Dickinson's free kick. Laurent headed it out, and Broadis hit that ball on the turn. He didn't waste a moment, and he smashed it home. Now, if we'd done that at that speed a bit earlier, well, things might have been a bit different, but that's the first time that we've taken a leaf out of the Hungarian book. So Broadis has scored number 1 now for England after 27 minutes play in the second half.